Hey everyone, welcome back to Podcast for Your Life. Today we're talking about pranks, a topic suggested by Emily from Illinois. And pranks just jumped the queue. It was really interesting, and we were like, yeah, we've got a lot of thoughts. So it just jumped right on ahead.
Yeah, hopefully some prankful stories.
Yeah.
Oh, Jam, watch out. He almost sat in a whoopee cushion.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So pranks, I think we all have an understanding of what the word means, but there are specific parameters around prank versus joke versus practical joke or whatever. How would you describe the word prank?
Yeah, pranks, I think, are acts of mischief or some sort of practical joke on somebody. I guess it could be like a verbal prank, but most of the time pranks involve some sort of physical situation where somebody does something in secret to somebody else. That's super vague, super broad. You could say a lot of things for that. But generally, pranks aren't found out about until the person falls into the trap. So it's a trap. Okay, let's be honest. Pranks it's a trap.
Yeah, it's definitely preconceived. It's like planned out. There's an element built into the word that makes it seem like you definitely thought this out. You decided on something. You decided on a person you're targeting. You decided on the joke and everything, and it took some stages of planning. I don't think a prank is just like, throwing a ball of paper at somebody for fun or whatever like that. It's not like
planning.
It's not spontaneous. It's planned out.
You like the plan.
And it borders mean. It really best pranks get really close to a line but don't cross it.
Sure.
And bad pranks cross a line of being really, really mean. I think the best case scenario, best definition is that it like walks that line pretty perfectly.
Yeah, I think if you kind of boil it down, I think you might be able to say with confidence that pranks, the point of pranks is to humiliate someone else. I mean, that's a kind of basic idea, but I don't know, because that's sometimes what it feels like, where it's like everybody wants to laugh at someone for succumbing to something that they obviously didn't see coming, So
yeah, that's a good point. But I also think that there's an element of cleverness to them. Even the person that's getting pranked can appreciate.
Those are the best pranks. The ones where the people say, I respect this person, or like they can laugh at themselves for falling into that prank.
Yeah. And I think it's the idea that like it's a surprise. And if it was really well thought out and really confusing for the person or something, whatever it was, the prank, I think when there's that moment of like pure confusion or surprise at what happened, and it worked perfectly, then there's an element of like appreciation that can be had as long as the person that was pranked isn't like completely humiliated.
Right. Yeah. I think that's good. Are joke gifts pranks?
I guess it could be. I guess if it's planned out and there's something that sort of happens as part of it, like say you wrapped up somebody's cat in a way that didn't hurt the cat. Yeah.
What are some kinds of pranks that you know about or you've experienced over the years? Or like when people think of pranks, what are some of the common ones?
Prank calls is like the kind of childhood one that kids can do really early. It seems like it's just an innate thing. Kids realize that you can make a prank call
after they learn that you can call other people.
Yeah, it's the first thing.
Wait, I can call people?
Okay, so calling has a positive thing. How can I make it negative? How can I misuse this? Also, there's like, I can't think of a great way to word this, but there's like setting traps or sabotage or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a category of prank. You're setting up something for someone to walk into this or to fall into this or to
discover this.
Stumble across. Yeah, exactly. And then
that's good.
There's probably a whole other category that's not really like a trap, but that is a setup thing now that there's digital type pranks or whatever. I don't really know. I think there's so many kinds of categories, but calls, traps, you name it. There's the kind of pranks that just border on the like gross side, where it's like all about the gross factor, making somebody gag, like,
not a fan.
You just ate rotten food.
Yeah.
Haha.
Sabotage.
Yeah.
I love that word, sabotage, because I feel like that really is what it's not just sabotaging a person's like physical being, it's also sabotaging their dignity.
Right. And you could literally be sabotaging like a meal of theirs or their car or something. Like the word, I think, is pretty accurate.
Yep. Especially like a lot of the pranks I think of from people growing up, like we had some folks in our neighborhood who were a little bit younger than myself, and they just always got into trouble with just like TPing houses. Like that was a big one in our neighborhood, was throwing toilet paper on trees, and somehow they enjoyed that. And I just like never thought that was funny or amusing at all. I was just like, somebody's gonna have to clean this up, and maybe they'll find you guys and they'll catch you and they'll have to clean it up. But like, it's not funny. And there were like several people in the neighborhood, people that I didn't know who I knew they lived in the neighborhood and they would do it. But I just think TPing is definitely on the sabotage scale.
It is, and it's just it's obviously pretty inconvenient for the person, but really, it's more than that. It's also littering, and which bugs me. If you could find a way of making something really inconvenient for the person without littering, I think I might be behind it. But
it's also like, I don't know if it's supposed to be art too. Like maybe someone along the way was like, this could be art. We can make art out of toilet paper on somebody else's lawn.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's I don't know. Assuming the best intentions, which probably aren't very realistic. So I had a pretty annoying prank happen to me in high school. I did my fair share, but not a ton. But one time somebody let the air out of my tires. Like they did the thing where they like take, they take the caps off and then you can just wedge like a pebble or something in there and then just lets it all out.
Yeah.
So they did that at some point, and I'm like, I didn't really have any enemies, not that I knew of anyway. And so my thought was like, wow, that's hilarious. Luckily I wasn't like running late to something.
Yeah.
You know? So then I had to, get an air compressor and air them all up. But if I was going to be on my way to something important, and I stumbled across, oh, wait, while my tires are flat. Or worse, I just started driving and didn't know, then that would be horrible. I don't know how you wouldn't notice, but still. Yeah. There's a lot of ways that could go wrong. One of my favorite childhood pranks was that they sold these fireworks that have a string on each end. Do you know about those?
Maybe.
It's kind of like the little M1000 things you would light.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of like that. Yeah. It's in that. It's loud, but it doesn't do almost anything else. Okay. So what I would do is I would put those places where I'd tape the string to two things, like a door, for instance, perfect, a cabinet, a drawer, genius. And then you open it, and then it pulls the two things.
And then it's super loud.
Yeah, and it's so easy to do over and over because you do it, and then you lay low, and you do it again, and lay low, and you do it again. It's funny every time.
That is good.
People's reactions are really good, but there's no harm done.
No heart attacks counted, at least. Speaking of fireworks, we had something similar to that when we were living in like a townhouse community. I was like 10 years old, and there were some kids that would climb in the trees outside our house. Yeah, and they weren't supposed to. Like not just us, but like the HOA is like, you can't climb trees in our neighborhood. Whoa! So they just did it day after day until finally my dad was like, "All right, I got an idea." So we went up to our second floor, which is kind of like about tree level, and we were out of sight. Like the tree was kind of blocking us, but they were like right outside our house. We had firecrackers and we lit them and we threw them out the window and they would like explode. And the kid was like, one time the kid was like, I almost fell because they just like, this bang goes off and the kid's like, oh my gosh, and then they got down and
that's
ran
crazy.
Away and stuff. So
the one thing that I'm realizing right now as we're talking is that pranks are kind of based on the idea that it's enjoyable to cause
the prankster.
For the prankster, it's enjoyable for the prankster to cause fear or some element of alarm, or even some amount of pain to somebody else. And so, in that regard, like while I think there can be practical jokes, maybe I'm kind of leaning on at this point in my life, I don't like pranks because
they're all bad.
At the root level, it is kind of motivated by a bad, a bad idea, but. I do have a couple other pranks to share if you're interested.
Wasn't there Wasn't there like a Greek god that was like the god of mischief?
Yeah, Loki.
I don't think he ever has been put in a good light. So
Right. Maybe he's the Roman god. I don't know. So in college, my freshman year of college, I was in a student organization or whatever. And apparently pranking was kind of a normal thing. And so my first year in that, toward the end of the year, is when prank season would happen. We had this brilliant idea to put a fish, like a whole frozen fish, in someone's car in a Walmart bag or several of them, so that it doesn't get any, moisture anywhere. But as it thaws, it would smell worse and worse. So you put it in someone's car under a seat. And so the reason that we had that idea is because somebody did it to one of my friends. And so we thought, okay, we'll get back at this person and be great. Just do the exact
revenge pranks.
Yeah, revenge pranks, but it's the exact same thing that he did.
Sure.
But we'll do it in a more sophisticated way because this guy just threw fish in there, and we were doing a frozen one that was gonna slowly be stinkier.
That's actually pretty sophisticated, Jim.
So we were doing that, but somebody tipped him off, and so then we had to change our plan. This is like this night that we had reserved for pranking, and then we found out that our friend's apartment was open. This other friend of ours, actually a group of girls, was open, and so we went there and we unscrewed one of their air conditioning vents.
No.
And we were putting the fish in there.
No.
And then one of the people with us chickened out and said, "Guys, don't do this. This is too much. It is." And then threatened to tell. And so then it kind of undoes everything, because when your own is going to undo everything.
Yep. Traitor.
It's bent on, like most pranks like that, you have to let it take its course.
Yeah.
If you tell in between, then they're just going to throw the fish away.
It's true.
And then the people were getting home, and they were running over to the apartment because they could see it was open. And so what I did while no one else was looking is I took the fish into Walmart bags and put it behind their washer. But no one saw me do it, so they thought, "Oh, abandoned ship." Kind of thing.
Abandoned ship.
Everyone in our party had no idea, and I just pretended that we all abandoned ship and all ran. But I had put the fish there. Days later, my friend, not me, my friend gets an incredibly angry phone call. There's a horrible smell in our apartment. We can't find where it is, but it smells like rotten food. And what did you guys do? And where is it? And the phone call was incredibly angry. And so then we had to go and clean it up. It was simple because it was just into Walmart bags.
It was bad.
It did smell pretty bad.
Oh,
yeah, it was kind of perfect. But it was like at least 2 whole days later. So 48 hours of fish thawing at least.
Wow, that's pretty terrible. I don't have any personal ones really from my college days, because I was like a commuter student, so I didn't really get to. But my wife had one where one of her friends, there was this like town water fountain, and it was a small town next to their campus.
Soap,
and,
bubbles?
Yep, they did dish soap. And one day they were driving by, like the next day they were driving by, and she saw it and she was like, "Oh my gosh, there's bubbles everywhere." And her friend's like trying to hold back laughter in the back seat. They never found them. They never found out that it was them who did it, even though, my wife and her friends knew who did it. But it was a big deal in the little town. They were like, "Who did this? This is terrible." And it was like a town fountain. It wasn't just like a person's fountain. It was like a town fountain. So.
Yeah, the first prank of the town.
That's right.
Yeah, we did one that I think is the closest I've ever had to one going too far. Actually, not closest. It did go too far. One of my roommates used to prank us all the time on different small things. Like he'd hide something of ours or just post something silly about us on Facebook or whatever. And he was our youngest roommate, so he was kind of like the younger brother. And so I covertly installed a keylogger onto his computer, which then sends you all the information that is ever typed. It just sends you all the keystrokes.
That's almost illegal, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe I should have told this, like, a friend of mine did this instead of me. And then we got his Facebook password from that. And then we signed in and said just posted all these statuses of things he'd never say, like, "Oh, I love this liberal candidate," or like, "Oh, the Patriots are a horrible sports team." He's like a big Patriots fan.
Was he really?
Most of these things were pretty harmless, but it just like was things that he felt like, "No, I love Patriots. You can't say that." And so it really wasn't that bad. And then we said something about like, "Hey, I'm single. Anyone want to date me?" Just all this stuff. But what we did is we set the privacy on those statuses to where the only people who could see the statuses were just us as roommates.
Okay.
And so he didn't know that.
Yeah,
and so suddenly these phantom statuses are being posted, and then I'd be like, I pulled my phone up, like, "Hey, what's this thing you posted?" And it's on my news feed, so he thinks, "Oh no!" Yeah. But so it was. He got really, really mad. That's why I think it went too far. But there was actual no damage done because in the sense that no one saw them.
Yep.
His parents and whoever else he cared about.
Wow. You are quite the sophisticated prankster. I'm impressed.
That's my most, but then I felt very, like, as soon as I saw that he was pretty offended and stuff, then I felt pretty bad. Like, it was like, okay, great to do a really well planned out, sophisticated prank. But then if it only causes a rift in a friendship with your roommate, then
there you go.
How worth it is it? So,
yeah. Yep, Facebook hacking is social media hacking in general, I guess, is a pretty common prank.
So then I threw in the towel.
Yeah.
And I haven't pranked since.
And the moral of all of your stories is pranks. It's fun to be a sophisticated saboteur.
Pranks. Best way to lose friends. Well, that's all the time we have. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks, Emily, for suggesting this topic.
Yeah.
We will see you guys soon.
Sweet.